Cris, how do you find that middle ground, you think?
Well, for me, the middle ground is about trying to help white communities unite with the dream of Dr. King and away from the nightmare of white supremacy. And so for me, I talk with white communities about racism is race prejudice plus institutional power. And so in the United States, we're talking about white supremacy, which is at the heart of economic inequality and political inequality in this country. And that for white people, indentured Europeans united with enslaved Africans throughout history. Laws had to be made to break the unity of indentured Europeans from enslaved Africans. Laws and punishments had to keep white people from coming together with black people and people of color to make a better world, to make economic justice, multiracial democracy. And so racism isn't just something that people are born with or just they're tribal and it just happens. Racism is structural and historical. And so that has meant that indentured European people, my ancestors, bought into a whiteness, which is basically an economic inequality agenda in exchange for the wages of whiteness, which means I might not have health care, I might not have living wage, but at least I'm not those N-words. At least I can puff out my chest and say, this is my country as a white man, and I'm going to make America great again. And so I go to white communities and say, we need to choose what side of history we want to be on, because the black freedom movement has over and over and over again expanded democratic rights for everyone. After the Civil War, that meant public education for white people too. As Dr. King fought for the Poor People's Campaign, that meant economic justice for all people. The Black Freedom Movement is at the heart of expanding democracy for all people, and white supremacy is fundamentally a death culture that devours the lives of children of color while poisoning the hearts and minds of white young people. And I want to save white communities from that death culture. And so white communities, for me, I say white people, we have to make a choice. Do we stand on the historical legacy of Bull Connor to Donald Trump, or do we stand on the historical legacy of the abolitionist movement, civil rights movement, and Black Lives Matter now?
Before I get to Bakari, Cris, I have to ask you a follow-up question.
He's the most woke brother on stage. Stay with him for a little while.
Now, with what your opening remarks, you got amens and applause from the crowd. What kind of response do you get before an all-white audience?
So here's the thing. You always hear white people don't like to talk about race, right? There's a lot of white people that do like to talk about race, and they're often racist. And so oftentimes in white communities, the people who are talking about race are racist. The good white people don't know what to do and are really awkward, and so want to be colorblind, which means I'm going to be functionally illiterate about the political and economic realities of this world. And so we need white people who are courageous, anti-racist, racial justice leaders. White people who are anti-racist, racial justice leaders, because Dr. King said we need to save the soul of this country, which means saving the souls of white people too. And so for me as a white person, I try to encourage white people. We must be courageous in these times to not let fear of making mistakes, fear of saying the wrong things, fear of not knowing enough, because white people have been raised to be illiterate about the realities of this country, and that is what white privilege does. It makes white people fundamentally malnourished of the most important liberation values of our society. And so white people have a scarcity of imagination. That if the black people want freedom, that must mean they're trying to take my freedom as a white person. If black people want political power, that must mean it's taken from me. White people need to join a multiracial democratic imagination that says economic, racial, gender justice is the reality for all of us, and we must divest from racism.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and buy into multiracial movements for democracy so that white people's souls are no longer poisoned.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Dr. Bishop Cris Crass. Thank you.
Now we must act. Use the hashtag #Let'sBridge. We welcome your donations to the King Center on our Facebook page or dreamforwardfund.org. That's dreamforwardfund.org. We also give special thanks to our sponsor, the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Special thanks to our partner, the Martin Luther King Jr. Advisory Council. Let's bridge young people this summer with Camp Now. For more information, visit us at choosenonviolence.org.